So, busy Christmas period, of course, at Timeform. We've got a host of anti-post previews on the website, and we're going to talk about the King George, the showpiece on Boxing Day. And Ben Fearnley is the man who has written the preview. And Ben, you've got a fancy in this.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite hard to see Mike Bite being beaten, isn't it? Really. I mean, I very rarely back horses that are as short a price as that, but I wouldn't really put anyone off necessarily if you're just looking to have a bet, just because it looks like the race is completely made for him. He was about to bolt up by about 18 lengths or so in the novice race over the same course and distance last season, and that time compares very favourably to the actual King George that year, which was of course won by Thistlecrack. I mean, the main thing that makes Whisper of interest, I'd say, around, I think he's 9-1 now. I think he was 10-1 when we wrote the previews, coming a little bit because we've had some horses withdraw from the race. But I mean, Mike Bite's solid, but I think Bristol de Mai and Thistlecrack, the next two in the market, for me, I think they're quite opposable really for different reasons. Thistlecrack, I mean, obviously connections are making, sort of trying to see the positives from that reappearance and saying maybe we left too much to do or something like that, but they were very bullish coming into that race, and for me I think it was pretty disappointing. He obviously travelled with his normal zest and then just didn't have any kind of end product really, which is obviously a shame to see a horse that has been absolutely lighting up the hurdling and chasing scene for the last couple of seasons to put in a display like that. But I didn't think it was encouraging whatsoever, and it's only a short break. I think it's only 3 or 4 weeks that Colin Tizard would have to turn him around, so I'd be quite against him really, for all that he was a very impressive winner of this race last year. If he bounced back to form, you'd just say fair enough, and it wouldn't be a massive shock. But at 6-1, I think I wouldn't be backing him at 6-1, and probably even more so I wouldn't be backing Bristol de Mai at 7-2. I was all over him for the Betfair Chase. It was I really fancied him for that race, because he had his perfect conditions: haydock, bottomless ground, small field where you can just lob along in front, and as that race demonstrated, nothing can touch him in those sort of conditions basically. And he's a top class horse with the right conditions, but I just think this is going to be completely different. Kempton, no matter how much rain they get, it's never that testing anyway. It's a completely different scenario, and the ground is a lot different to Haydocks, where it just retains water so much. So I'd be quite against him at 7-2 really. It might be that he's just improved, and if that's the case, then he might win. But I think that he's just had his perfect scenario last time out, and that is resulting in him being quite a short price here. So the two really that I think, if you're looking to back something with a bit more of an interesting price than 6-4 about Mike Bite, would be Whisper and perhaps Fox Norton, though. He has got stamina to prove, and I think he's flatbred on his dam side, and he's blessed with plenty of speed, so that's not a guarantee that he is going to stay. But he saw out 2.5 at Aintree last season pretty well. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. He won readily that day, and I think he ran to 170 on the Timeform scale. I wouldn't be surprised if he could run to a bit better, to be honest. So I think he would be one that I'd be keeping on side maybe if I was having a play in the race. I think Fox Norton and Whisper were the two that would be a bigger prize I'd be interested in really. I don't think T for 2, Outlander, the likes of those, I can't see them getting involved really. So I think it's between the middle and top of the market, but those two, Whisper being my tip for this, as he's a bigger price, and I can see him running third, second quite easily, to be honest, if the two in front of him, Bristol de Mai and Thistlecrack, don't run the races.
We'll quickly touch on Mike Bite, because he's a very popular favourite for this. He's 6-4, 11-8 at the moment now. He was almost infamous last year for either being brilliant or having a mishap, and he's got previous at Kempton as well. He felt the last in the was it the Feltham last year, the Quarto Star?
The Quarto Star, yeah.
Do you think he's grown out of that, or do you think at 6-4 there's still a massive risk of you risking dramatics?
that might be he is a horse that's shown his quirks in the past, isn't he? So that has to come into consideration somewhat, and that 6-4, a lot of people think that's short enough. I don't know. I think the Cheltenham thing was a little bit different in that he'd seen something or whatever happened. It seemed to be unique to Cheltenham, I think, or that run at Cheltenham. He wasn't going to do anything similarly at Kempton last year, which would give me sort of hope that he wouldn't go and run off to the side or whatever like he did last time. So I think that, but I mean, that RSA run, although it was bizarre and you're thinking this is like a nut job of a horse, at the same time he's essentially handed the race to a horse that's nearly won an RSA off 161 in Whisper. A really, really good performance. He's essentially sacrificed about 10 lengths and then still managed to get up and beat him. So this season, although that form's taken a massive boost, hasn't it, really? Because he would have destroyed him if he hadn't have gone off to the side and did what he did. So I think that Nicky Henderson's probably one of the best for handling tricky horses like this, and I don't think he'll do similarly at Kempton. I like the fact that obviously he ran fine at Kempton last year, and that was obviously before he showed those quirks, those real quirks anyway, at Cheltenham. So I wouldn't have a problem with that necessarily. I think he's probably growing up as a horse as well. He's obviously older, and he's had an excellent man sort of doing the training with him and teaching him more about how to be a racehorse. So it wouldn't really bother me. But I mean, at the prices, it's not 6 to 4 is not that exciting, is it? Definitely not for me. So Whisper and Fox Norton would be the two at the prices that I think are probably there's good cases to be made for those two.
9 to 1 at the moment, Whisper, and very quickly you said it was a mammoth effort to place in the Hennessy off 161. But do you think he would need to step up on that here? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, he would need to run probably a better race. But I mean, if Bristol de Mai and if Thistlecrack's below form, which could easily be the case, and if Bristol de Mai is below his best, which he could easily be because it hasn't come under these conditions, then he could still run third. I mean, Fox Norton is a better horse than Whisper at the moment, probably. And he would need to improve. We've got £3 between them on the ratings. Not a great deal, but Fox Norton could finish second, and Whisper could still finish third. So I think 9 to 1 there is a bit of scope there. I mean, I think someone replied to the video and said that not the video, the preview, and said that they didn't think it was a very good each way race. But I actually think it probably is to some degree, just because I think 2 of the first 3 in the market have real doubts about them in my mind.
Okay, so a point each way on Whisper.
Yeah, I'd say that would be the way to go. Look, you're not going to get rich off it, and he probably won't win, but he might well. He could very, very easily finish second or third. And I personally would rather back a horse each way at 9s than a favourite at 6 to 4. But I do expect Mike Bite to win. I just think he's obviously clear on our ratings. Only £1, but I don't think there's any way we've seen the best of him yet, because he had that finish, that run in at Cheltenham where he could have won by about 10 lengths, and he just looks like a horse that's going to just get better and achieve more, and that might be in this race because he's clearly very well suited by the track.
Okay, we'll say it quietly. Whisper the tip in the King George, and if you want to read the full in-depth preview, it's on timeform.com.